Hello everyone, welcome to SwitchUp. Today we once again have one of our gaming on a budget videos for you. I will be setting myself a £100 budget and seeing if I can buy 10 good games for that money from a variety of genres. The genres I will be covering in this video are adventure games, RPGs, a platformer, a METROIDVANIA, a racing game, a beat 'em up, a fighting game, a shoot 'em up, an action game, and finally a puzzle game. This is the latest in a series of these videos, some using this formula, others looking at games for a variety of different price points. So if you are interested, the links to all the previous entries will be in the top pinned comment, as well as any reviews that we've done for any of the games mentioned in today's video. There will be a running total in the bottom right hand corner of the screen to see if we can get within that £100 budget. Okay, with all that said, let's get started. First up, looking for an adventure game then, and I've decided to pick quite a recent release on the Switch, which is a game called A Short Hike. This is selling for a very reasonable £6.29 or your regional equivalent, which will be at the bottom of the screen. Mark reviewed this one for us recently and described it as a sandbox adventure game set on a mountain, which is a very good description indeed. You play as a bird named Claire, who is trying to get to the top of the mountain, but that's only half the journey. There are a variety of people to talk to along the way, treasure maps to find, and minigames to partake in. The game uses a very interesting faux pixel art look and definitely errs on the side of whimsical in terms of the writing, plus the soundtrack is absolutely wonderful. If you're looking for something very calming to play, where you can just immerse yourself in the environment and have fun along the way, this one is definitely a good pickup for a very good price. Price wise, I'm going to go slightly higher for the RPG. It's either that or end up with a bloody Chemco game, and I'm going to go for a game that recently released called Atom RPG. Now this is a CRPG, I think is the correct term, very similar to the classic Fallout games or things like Wasteland 2, which is of course available on the Switch too. It's set in a post-apocalyptic, well I say future, it's set in 2005, but it's based on there being a nuclear war in 1986, and you are now one of the survivors of that, and you are sent out into the wastelands of the Soviet Union to try and find out what happened to a party of your team that was sent out on a secret mission. You will create a character at the beginning, put in skill points and pick in particular traits that will shape that character, and you will gain experience for doing certain actions as you go on, which will then build that character up. As I said, it's very similar to something like the first two Fallout games. Very difficult, very brutal early on, although that may be the loadout that I picked for my character. I am having quite a problem with combat at the minute, so that may be something I need to think about. It sells for £15.99, which puts us just over our average of £10 a game at the minute, so I will need to think about that and we'll need to go budget somewhere else as we go through the remaining genres. Next up then is the platform genre, and I'm going to go for a game called Polyroll, which sells for £8.09, bringing us roughly back down to our £10 per game average. This game is very much inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog, I think that's pretty obvious by the footage you're seeing right now, and sees you playing as a woodlouse trying to rescue his friends. It has that 90s video game mascot feel to it, has a few secret areas in the game, and branching paths where you can open up new levels by finding gems within the levels that you've completed so far. But I will say also, if you just want to go traditional, you can get the Sonic the Hedgehog games as part of the Sega Ages line for cheaper than this, actually for about £5 something, or games like Blues Journey from the Neo Geo Hamster line, so you can save yourself even more money. I just wanted to highlight something a little bit different for this video. Next we have the METROIDVANIA, and again I'm going to go slightly higher for this one to try and get a nice polished experience, and we're going to go for a game called Time Spinner. Now this uses a pixel art style that kind of sits somewhere between 16 and 32-bit, maybe erring towards 32, and it sells for £14.99. What I liked about this one the most was it's very succinct. Yes, you will be exploring, gaining new skills and returning to previous areas. Yes, there are side quests to find during the game as well, but at the same time it does feel like some of the fat has been trimmed, leaving you with quite a streamlined, focused experience, and for me these days that's definitely a plus. It has quite an interesting weapon system where you collect orbs and you can then combine these to create different projectiles, experimenting with a few different ones to find one that suits your playstyle. And I really do love the artwork. I think the pixel art looks great, some of the levels look truly wonderful, and if you are looking for something a bit more concise, I would definitely recommend this one. For the racing game, I'm going to pick a game that actually came out this week, and that's a game called Hotshot Racing. Mark has just reviewed this one for us, and he very much enjoyed it. It uses a lovely low poly art style, very reminiscent of things like virtual racing, and you can see influences from a lot of those classic racing games in this one, things such as virtual racing, Daytona, Outrun to an extent, and Ridge Racer as well. It has a variety of game modes, runs at 60 frames per second in single player at least for the most part, has local and online multiplayer too, and with the exception of some rubber banding, the scourge of racing games at times, this is an incredibly fun experience. I've been playing it myself this week and very much agree with Mark's take on it. The cars can feel quite heavy to start with, so it does take some time to get used to, plus you have to nail that drifting mechanic if you want to get anywhere in it, but as I said, that kind of harkens back to games like Ridge Racer, and if you have any sort of affinity for racing games of the 90s, this one will definitely do well by you. At £15.99 it does put us well above budget at the minute, about £10 over where I'd like to be at this point, so we are going to need to reel that in the games that come, but that's the challenge. It'll be quite interesting to see how we do that.
Except father.
Next then we have the beat 'em up genre, and for this one I'm going to go for a game called Die for Valhalla, which sells for £10.99. The reason I've chosen this one, Mark reviewed this for us back in the day, and I remember playing it with him in 2-player for that review to help him out. And it reminds me very much of a game like Castle Crashers thinking back. You could choose your class of fighter, so you could be a berserker say, or an archer for example, and it also had a really interesting skill tree, whereby you had to try and reach the upgrades in as fewer moves as possible to get the best ones. Again, there are cheaper beat 'em ups out there. You can pick classics up like Double Dragon or River City Ransom for around £5 to £6, but I just again wanted to highlight something a little different. Next up we have the fighting genre, and I've gone for arcade classic King of the Monsters, which is published by Hamster and sells for £6.29. Whilst this is a one-on-one fighting game, it's not one in the traditional sense, it's more like a wrestling game in fact, where you take one of the huge kaiju and attempt to defeat another within the confines of a city. You will be smashing through buildings as you punch and kick your opponent before having to pin them to a count of 3, as I said, very much like wrestling. And whilst I'm not a fan of wrestling in any way, shape or form, I have a great deal of fun with this game. I'm a huge Godzilla fan, and just having a game like this on the Switch where you can fight other monsters in a city just brings me a great deal of enjoyment. If you're looking for something a bit more traditional, stick with the Hamster range and look at some of the classic SNK fighters they have on there. Things like Art of Fighting, King of Fighters, Samurai Showdown or The Last Blade. There are so many to choose from. Next we have the shoot 'em up genre, and with just over £20 left to buy 3 games with, I had to really think about this one, but in saying that actually it was a bit of a no-brainer. I've gone for Jets and Guns, which sells for just £5.39. This is a game that's been out on Steam for quite a while before coming to the Switch, and its sequel has just dropped on the Switch as well, although that one is more expensive. This is a horizontal shooter where you need to upgrade your ship in between levels to survive the barrage of bullets that will come your way. You collect gold by defeating enemies, which you can then use obviously to upgrade your ship further later on. What I really love about this one is its visual look. It seems to have almost like a cyberpunk setting but in space, which I really enjoyed. You're getting a fantastic shooter for a very good price actually. £5.39 for this game is incredibly cheap. It's very difficult, or I find it difficult at least, but as with all shooters, as you get better at it and you start to learn attack patterns, it's immensely rewarding. We have the action genre next, and we've got about £16 left to buy 2 games with, so I've decided to go super budget with this one. This is Biolab Wars, which is a run and gun about as action packed as you can get, selling for just £1.79. This takes its cues from games like Contra and sees you blasting through levels, all the while picking up weapon upgrades to make your task a little easier. This game doesn't use one-hit kills like Contra, and you instead have a health bar, making it a bit more manageable. And for that price, fair play to the developers, because this is a very fun game, but the sort of money that you'll find in the back of your jeans without even knowing. Well, I won't, because my missus always takes it, but you know what I mean. If you're looking for something fun to play for pocket money standards in terms of how much it's going to cost you, you could do a lot worse than this one. And finally we have the puzzle genre, and those last couple of budget picks means we have enough money left to pick up a game that's come out quite recently. This is the Last Campfire. This is selling for £13.49, and whilst I guess you could describe it as an adventure game as well, there are a lot of sections that include logic puzzles that need to be solved, and I feel very comfortable describing it as a puzzle game. You need to find lost embers within shrines, solving a puzzle to then release them and send them to the last campfire. Sending enough there will see you then being able to progress to the next level. The puzzling doesn't just take the form of these shrines though, and does start to envelop itself in the world itself as you get further into the game. On top of this, it has a beautiful art style and a really quite spellbinding soundtrack. Mark has made a video on this one for us, so perhaps go and give that a watch if you want a bit more information. So there you have it then, there's 10 games bought from 10 different genres for a grand total of £99.30. I think we've done bloody well there, to be honest. We've bought some very good games, a few of which have just come out as well, and I think even the budget games that we've bought don't sacrifice quality in order to meet a low price point. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do remember to leave a like if you did, and also please do feel free to put any games that you would recommend for a good price or for a particular genre in the comment section below. A quick thank you to our Patreons as always for your continued support, and to each and every one of you of course for watching our videos. Take care, stay safe, and until next time, happy gaming.